Hi, I'm Darcel Lobo. I own Dow Law Firm in Normandy Park, and today we're going to answer, I think, the number one question that I get when I am meeting with estate planning consults. And what is that question? The question is, do I want a will or do I want a trust? For a lot of clients, they are unsure. They've heard a lot of things, whether it's from Google, from videos, from friends or family, and they're not sure what's right for them. Well, today we are going to kind of go through the pros and cons, explain the difference of both, so you can be better informed as to which option is right for you. Now, as a quick disclaimer, I am in kind of the greater Seattle area, and I am only licensed in Washington State. So as much as I would like to help people across the country, I am only licensed in Washington. So if you are outside of Washington, I'm very sorry. I cannot assist with your estate plan, but I would suggest contacting your county or state bar association to get a referral. So, okay, now that that's out of the way, let's just dive right into a will versus trust. So let's start with a will. A will is a set of instructions of what you want to have happen, but it does not empower anyone to do anything without probate, okay? So the will is a set of instructions of what you want to have happen. Upon your passing, that will gets filed with the probate court. Probate is opened and a judge oversees the administration of your estate pursuant to the terms of your will. So in your will, you're going to say who gets what, you're going to say who your executor is, you're going to have everything outlined, but it has to go through probate in order for that to actually happen. Now, there are a few caveats to that where you can avoid probate with a will. You may have heard of a small estate affidavit. I will link another video about that below. A small estate affidavit is only for estates that have no real estate and the value of the probate assets that would go through probate are under $100,000. So if you have real estate or the value of your estate that would be subject to probate is over $100,000, the small estate affidavit would not work and your estate would go through probate if you have a will. Or if you don't have a will, if you don't have an estate plan, the state of Washington has an estate plan for you. And it may or may not be what you want, but that's what you're going to get. So if you want to decide who serves as your executor and what goes where of your assets, then we need to at least have a will. So again, the will gets filed with the court. The probate court oversees the administration of your estate according to the terms of your will, ensuring that the will is followed. Okay? The other option is a trust. The proper name is a revocable living trust. You create this document during your lifetime and you put your assets into this trust. We do most of that for you when we prepare your trust for you. The trust outlines what happens. Instead of an executor, you're going to have someone who is your successor trustee, and it's going to outline all the distributions as far as who receives what. But the biggest difference between a will and a trust is that the trust does not have to go through probate. There will be no court involvement in your trust if you form the trust and you fund the trust. Okay? And so that is really the biggest difference. So why would you want one or the other? Now, clients have different perspectives on this. A will is less expensive to set up. The trust is more expensive. However, when you factor in the cost of probate on the back end after you've passed, the will option plus the probate is going to cost more than the trust option. But for the initial out-of-pocket for drafting your estate plan, the will option is less expensive than the trust option. So I usually have about 3 reasons why my clients would want a trust over a will. The biggest one is if they have real estate outside of Washington State. So if you have a home here, but you also own real estate, most commonly it's Arizona. So my clients are snowbirds, right? They go to their property in Arizona for the winters. So if you have property in Arizona or Hawaii, California, but anywhere outside of Washington state, you're going to want to go with the trust in that situation, because otherwise you'd have to have probate here in Washington plus any other state where you owned real estate. So having that trust that holds all those assets and all that real estate in the trust, that avoids not just probate, but having to have multiple probates in the various states where you own real estate. That's the biggest one. So if a client has real estate outside of Washington state, I highly advise that we go with the trust option. So what are the other options or other reasons? For a lot of times, most of my clients is personal preference. Some clients, they don't want a court involved in their final affairs. For some clients, it's very important that their family not have to deal with the courts and not go through probate. Now, probate in Washington state is much more streamlined than other states. Like, from what I hear, California is a state where you don't want probate because of the cost and the time. So probate is pretty streamlined, but for some clients, they don't want that for their families or loved ones. They don't want their estate going through probate. And so they don't want a court involved in their affairs. So that's a reason as to why they'd want a trust. For some other clients, privacy is really important to them. And the wills get filed with the probate court. They become public record. So anyone could look up and see not only what the will said, but also the probate as far as who received what, how much did they receive, because there is a declaration of completion at the end of the probate that kind of recites all that information. And so that becomes public record. And for some clients, they don't want that. They don't want public record of what the trust says and who receives what. And so with the trust, it does not get filed with the court. It does not become public record like the will does. Those are kind of the three big reasons why I see why clients would want a trust over a will: the privacy, keeping the court out of your final affairs, and if you have real estate in multiple states outside of Washington state. So, but otherwise, we can achieve the same goal with the will as we can with the trust. If we need to provide for minors, if we need to appoint guardians for minors, whatever distributions you want to do, if we need to do any kind of tax planning for your estate, we can do all of those things with a will and with a trust. So it's not a matter of achieving a certain goal, like a certain end goal, because the end results can be the same with either option. It's how do you want to get there? How do you want the estate to get there? What vehicle are we going to use to administer your estate and distribute everything to your heirs? Are we going to use a will and go through probate? Or are we going to use a trust to avoid probate? Both options are fully revocable. You can amend them. So they both have all the same options within the documents themselves. It's just, how do you want your estate to be administered? That's really the bottom line question if deciding between a will or a trust. Now again, some clients, maybe they have experience with probate, or maybe they had family who had a trust, so they already come to me knowing one way or the other what they do or don't want. And for some clients who are undecided, we have this conversation and discuss, what their estate looks like, what the distributions will look like, who the heirs are, and I go over this with them. Now we do it one-on-one, so I can kind of factor in their estate and what their questions are to decide which option is best for them. And for some clients, it is a financial decision as far as what costs less out of pocket, and I certainly understand that. So I want to design an estate plan that works for you and reflects what your wants and your wishes are for your estate. You've worked really hard, throughout your life to acquire your assets. So we want to make sure that we take care of them and we protect them for you. And if you decide to go with a will for now, and if down the road you decide that you want to do a trust instead, we can do that. Neither of these options are set in stone forever. But we want to have an estate plan that's comprehensive, that we really thought through as far as what's best for you, and for those you've named in your will or your trust. And so we work together to develop a comprehensive estate plan for you. So I hope this helps you if you're deciding between a will and a trust. And again, if you're in Washington State and you need help with your estate plan, give our office a text or a call. We're at 206-408-8158, or you can visit us online at dowlawfirm.com, and I'll have all of that linked below for you. All right, have a great day.